From the Figure 4 Online Studios in beautiful Bothell, Washington, exclusively at WrestlingObserver.com, you're listening to The Bryan and Vinny Show with your hosts, Brian Alvarez and Big Vinny V.
Bryan and Vinny, along with Grady and Craig and sometimes other people. They're paid by a con, and they'll say, Bryan and Vinny, along with Grady and Craig and sometimes other people. Bryan and Vinny, along with Grady and Craig and sometimes other people.
All right, everybody, it's the Bryan and Vinny Show. It is June 5th, 2025, figure4online.com/WrestlingObserver.com, and we got 6 hours of wrestling to review today. So we're not going to waste much time. But I would say, before we begin, that we just got the rating for the 4-hour Dynamite show from Brandon Thurston. And I don't know if it's good news or bad news, but the show did well.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That is wretched news.
The show did well, and, you know, this is the first ever 4-hour show, so all of the comparisons are comparisons versus whatever normally follows Dynamite. But, you know, the first 2 hours did very well. In fact, it started bigger than usual, and for whatever reason, it was the second half of that Mina Shirakawa-Toni Storm tag match and the MVP live promo. Big jump, way above average. Stayed above average, and all the way until, in the normal time slot, all the way until the end of the show, it was way above average. It didn't even have the plunge that it normally has at the end of the show. And then for the second hour, whatever follows Dynamite, usually does between 200 and 400,000 viewers. And it did way better than that. So it was above the time slot average all the way until 11:30. And then the last half hour was only slightly below what is normally done in that time slot. So, here's the thing. They're going to look at these numbers, and who knows? Maybe they'll decide maybe the best course of action is to go 4 hours every Wednesday. I think that on the surface, you know, they can argue that that's the right idea because it did very well. But I think the important thing to remember is that when Raw moved to 3 hours, that was a bad idea. Because eventually they eroded their audience. But it took a year before people started giving up on Raw when it went to 3 hours. For the first year after they went 3 hours, that third hour did great. And then it was about a year later, it just became too much for people. And so I think in the short term, it's possible they might decide a 4-hour block is the way to go, but I don't think that... I don't think long-term people are going to sit through 4 hours of Dynamite every single Wednesday. And we'll find out how it does next week, because next week it is also a 4-hour block from Portland, Oregon. So we'll see how it does. All right, well, let's get going.
We watched AEW Dynamite Fyter Fest. Boy, did we watch this. June 4th, 2025, from the Mission Ballroom in Denver, Colorado. They're not doing the thing where they show everyone arriving. I guess they've been doing this for a while. But Tony shows up in
Actually, they haven't. They usually do this with WWE.
Okay.
This was somewhat new for AEW. All these people arriving.
Yeah, Tony Storm invites Mercedes to watch her match at ringside, an invitation that we'd she would take up later. Tony Schiavone.
So the show started with Tony inviting her to watch her match, even though it had been advertised as Mercedes would be there at ringside.
Yeah. Tony Schiavone brings out Will Ospreay. These people were so excited to see him. He was so excited to see them. They show the Swerve Ospreay brawl that happened after Dynamite leaves. Ospreay said it's embarrassing. Never wanted to fight with Swerve. Been great friends for 12 years. I'm trying to get everyone on the same page. We can work together for one bloody night, retrieve that belt, then kill each other. Moxley hates what AEW has become. Piss off, then, he says. People like myself, Swerve, Hangman, Tony Storm were the reason this company has momentum again. The only reason AEW sucks right now is our world champ. I gave Hangman my word. I will play a part in ensuring that title comes back. But maybe Swerve is a threat as well. Maybe he'll screw Hangman. I can't let that happen. If I had to be the one to stop you, Swerve, I love you, brother. But I will take a bullet for you. But I will take a bullet for AEW first. So he's called out Swerve for a fight.
So this started out with him talking about how much he loved Swerve and what a great guy Swerve was. And by the end, he talked himself into wanting to fight Swerve.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Because he does love Swerve as a person, but Swerve is making decisions that would be bad for the company as a whole. So, strange new music hits. And Will, I love Will Ospreay. But he acts like a normal human would. Music plays, he just notices, says, who's this? Turns to Schiavone, I'm sorry, Tony. Out comes Crew. I'm not joking. Leo Rush and Action Andretti interrupt Will Ospreay. Now I can say burying these guys for as long as they've been a team. And maybe some people think we're a little harsh, a little over the top, being negative on them. Dude, they came out. Crowd's never seen these guys before in their life. They're going, what? And they're trying. Their promo is fine. It's actually probably pretty good. And they're insulting Will, challenging him to a match. And Will says, I've got my fake tan. I've got my crime fighting pants. Does anyone want to see a Will Ospreay match tonight? And he says, I'll see you next week, Sunshine. Swerve, I'll see you next week. And I'll see you guys later tonight. So we just did Double or Nothing. And there was great debate over who should win, Will Ospreay or Hangman Page. And I was strongly in the Will Ospreay camp. And after watching this promo, I'm like, screw All In and Double or Nothing. Why has Will Ospreay not been champion for the past 6 months? He's better than everyone at everything.
Well, Vinny, I don't know if people are going to want to hear this, but the fact is, this recent turnaround of AEW has all happened with Moxley as champion and multiple babyfaces trying to take him out. So that's worked. As much as people say they hate the Death Riders, hey, somebody's going to beat him at some point, but the idea of a heel champion that you pay to see beaten, it's working.
Right.
That's why.
Will Ospreay is awesome. That's just the point I want to make. He's just the best.
But you know what? So's the fucking Hangman.
Ospreay is awesome-er.
All right. Well, that's your opinion.
It is my opinion. It's my opinion, but there's no margin for error in my opinion. I'm convinced of that. Mark Briscoe is the same promo where he says, Mox choked me out. My 5-year-old asked if I quit, so I need another match against Moxley to prove I never quit. They do this match. It's a fun brawl. I think my favorite was, I'm not even sure Mark planned on doing this, but they end up like caught in the ropes, and Mark does like a funky stunner on the apron with Moxley caught up in the ropes. And Mox sells this by tumbling to the floor, looking around and saying, what the fuck was that? After that. So, Briscoe's bleeding, of course, and Moxley's working it over, and Wheeler Yuta's interfering, and Marina's interfering. Yuta's getting more heat than either guy in the match. I think Taz said something like Yuta getting no love here in Cannabis Central. And then Mark gets the J Driller for 2. First time he was kicked out of that move in AEW. And then Mox gets the curb stomp and goes back to the choke. And the referee stops the match again. So yeah. Mark accomplished nothing.
Yeah, I don't know.
The match was fun.
I'm not sure what the idea is with this Mark Briscoe brother, but everybody loves him. Everybody wants to see him win. It's kind of like AR Fox, except, Mark Briscoe's significantly bigger star. But he's great every time he's out there, and then he just goes out and he always loses. And, he got choked out. He did that great promo about how sad his son was that his father quit. He had to prove to his son he wasn't a quitter, And the follow-up is he gets choked out again.
Yeah.
Where are we going here? This is an odd way to book Mark Briscoe. An odd way to get heat. Because I don't picture him getting a championship match against Jon Moxley out of this. Nor even another match. I think maybe you should just pin the guy. I don't think you need to choke him out again. But they want to build heat on Moxley into the pay-per-view, so I guess that's the idea here. Got heat with me, so there you go.
A Mystico video package is great, of course, and he returns for next week's 4-hour show. Tony Storm, Mina Shirakawa versus Julia Hart and Sky Blue. I don't care about this match at all. I'm going to talk about Mercedes Moné at ringside with, as Taz put it, a shoot steak. Did you see the picture Mercedes took of herself and her steak and posted on social media?
I did not.
This steak is more cooked than any washed-up wrestler you ever saw.
Did your wife order it?
This may have been too cooked for her.
Wow.
It was brown like an oak tree. And Mercedes, like, she's looking up in the ring, is like sneering at Mina. I swear to God, she looked down at her plate and sneered more. So they're doing this match, and babyfaces almost kiss, but the heels break it up, and everyone boos. And so they do suplexes and shimmy like Eddie Guerrero and run wild. And Tony gets what they call the TCM chicken wing, I guess. And Sky Blue taps out. I don't think Mercedes ate one bite of her steak the entire night. I don't blame her. But Tony walks down to ringside, grabs this hunk of jerky, and takes a big, giant bite out of it. I swear to God, that was more dangerous than anything she did in the Hollywood ending match. Lexi interviews Osprey.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
That's all you have to say about this match is the steak?
Yes.
Bro. Mina Shirakawa and Tony Storm are the best team. They were fucking great in this match. And I thought, like, dude, there have been some AEW shows that have had questionable crowds. This was not one of them. They loved Tony. They loved Mina. They loved this match. Mina and Tony are so great together. They team like they've been teaming together for 10 years. They had a really good match with Julia Hart, who is questionable in the ring of late, and Sky Blue, who just returned and is questionable in the ring of late. And when this match was over, all I could think was, why don't we have AEW Tag Team Champions, and why aren't they Tony and Mina Shirakawa? No answer. But I thought they were fabulous in this match. Just great. I hope they do more tag matches together. I don't care if they're squashes. I don't care if they beat the Hurt Business, Hurt Syndicate. I thought they were awesome. And they deserve credit for being fabulous in this match. I didn't even mention Mercedes Steak and Wine when I reviewed this yesterday. That's not the story. The story is what a great tag team we had here, yet no women's tag team titles in this company.
So Lexi interviews Osprey. Will Osprey and Swerve is official for next week in Portland. MJF interrupts, insults him. You can't beat Hangman, he says. All right, that's what Osprey says to MJF. And anyway, they're going back and forth. And Osprey brings up MJF brings up Osprey's son, Harry. So Will grabs him, but the Hurt Syndicate is there to run interference, and Osprey's too smart to fight. Lashley lingers and looks him up and down, has a smile, and walks away. Osprey looked very relieved when Lashley walked away. Loud chants for Bobby here in Colorado.
I knew we'd get it here. This person says Bryan wants more belts. No, actually, I don't. What I want is women's tag team titles and about 5 fewer men's titles. And we're already getting rid of one because, as they mentioned later, the Okada-Kenny Omega match, we're unifying those titles. Or at the very least, one man's going to have 2 of the belts. But it's winner take all. So we don't need 75 secondary men's titles here in this company. We don't need to see the Ring of Honor titles, the CMLL titles, the New Japan titles. We don't need to see all those on television. We need a men's main title, a men's secondary title, a women's main title. I don't even think you need a women's secondary title, but we have multiple. And we do need women's tag team championships. That's what we need.
So the Hurt Syndicate do a promo, a recap of MJF submitting his position in the group, helping them beat Dustin and Sammy at the pay-per-view. There's more chance for Bobby, MVP asks them to chant for Shelton, and they do. He asks for chants for Max. They all boo him, and Max is pissed. But then Bobby gives Denver the thumbs down, and OT now lives in Texas. And there's a total heel promo tonight, obviously. And MVP says Shelton and Bobby are the best team in the universe. We're the best tag teams to challenge these champions. Max says, I want gold, which means, unfortunately, I have to wrestle more often. He brings up Mexico and the supposed top guy, Mystico. He can't be the best wrestler in the world because I am. Notes he is the youngest foreigner ever to sell out Arena Mexico. He plugs Happy Gilmore, too. And when I heard he was in this movie, I thought, well, of course, there's no better guy to play an obnoxious country club prick than MJF. No, he's playing Happy Gilmore's kid.
One of his kids, I believe.
One of them, yes. He's apparently a babyface character. That caught me off
Well, we
guard.
don't know if one of his kids... Maxwell Jacob Friedman is his mother and father's child. Doesn't make him a babyface. He could be a heel Gilmore.
I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. He promises to watch Mystico's match next week. If you impress me, maybe I'll let you wrestle me at Grand Slam Mexico. Outcome, Speedball, Kevin Knight, and Commander, or as MVP dubbed them, White Shonuff, Bruce Leroy, and Blue Ranger. And I laughed. So someone in here... Speedball dubbed we are a group of international killers, he says. MVP cannot withhold his laughter, just cackling out loud. Hurt Syndicate decline the match for a challenge. They say you can impress us by earning it tonight. I believe the crowd was chanting coward at them.
So, remember that guy that insisted to us that the Hurt Syndicate were actually baby faces? They're not.
There have been a few of them, yeah.
They're absolutely heels. Every week now they try to make sure the crowd is booing them, which is an improvement over what we've seen of late. I do like that the setup for MJF and Mystico is just MJF wants a match with Mystico because he's renowned in Mexico. Mm-hmm. That will be a fascinating match to watch. And that was that. The segment was fine.
So it's Commander and Speedball and Kevin Knight versus...
Actually, I gotta go back. Okay. Segment was fine, but is there a reason that I'm unaware of that the Hurt Syndicate are the tag team champions and they only deal with jobbers?
Because there are no other tag teams. Every other tag team on the roster is jobbers. With impossible...
FTR?
Okay, there's one.
Yeah, there's one.
But...
I mean, Takeshita and Fletcher
just started being a team like on the show.
Nah, they've been a team for a while now. Yeah. The point is, the main event tag teams do not interact in any way with the tag team champions. It's like a separate universe. These tag team champions are only going to deal with jobber teams and squash them. I mean, at some point, there's got to be some mixing up of this.
All in is around the corner, and they have time to put something together. In fact, they better do something. Because right now I can't think of anything for the Hurt Syndicate to do unless there's some payoff to the MJF deal that I'm not thinking about. So it's Commander and Speedball and Kevin Knight versus Rush and Dralistico and Beast Mordos. So the biggest problem with the show is that it was 4 hours long. The second biggest problem is that most of the matches were very similar. They were tag teams or trios matches or 8-mans or 4-ways with just chaos and bodies flying everywhere. And party matches are fun, but not much like 8 party matches in a row.
Yeah, but we hadn't seen 8 yet. This was the first one, and it was fucking awesome. Everybody in this match ruled, including, of all people, Dralistico, who sometimes definitely does not rule. But he was quite great in this match. He had a springboard destroyer, which was awesome. He had a reverse, or a diving crucifix bomb off the top. He looked great.
I like his head scissors driver.
Rush is awesome. Mortos he's another guy. It's almost like Tony trolls us. Like, he all knows that we love Mortos, and we want him to win and get a push. So he's determined to just always beat him. He could have beat Dralistico in this match. There's no reason he couldn't have beaten Dralistico. But Mortos had to do the job again. And Speedball is always great. Commander was great. Kevin Knight was great. I mean, this was just a great match.
There was a point where it built and built and built and built, and it felt like it peaked. In fact, it may have been that head scissors driver there. But it kept going for a little while, and it fell off. I thought, well, they missed the peak, and they're done. And then Speedball hits his double rotation kick, and Commander hits his roadblock dive, and Knight pins Mortars with a UFO splash, and the place is going just white hot crazy. I thought, well, maybe it went a little long, but it certainly peaked at the very end. That's for sure.
I don't think this went long at all. This was awesome.
Also, on the Sunday show, we asked LFI won their match on Collision. We're like, well, why? What's the point? And I should always know. When someone wins a match on Collision and you can't figure out why, the answer is so they can lose on Dynamite.
Or the other way around. Often when somebody loses on Dynamite, they are given a win on Collision.
Sure. Yeah.
To keep the, I don't know why.
It doesn't work.
I mean, Roosh and Drolistico, LFI, they're not in line for the tag team titles. And even, honestly, Speedball Commander and Kevin Knight, they're not on, I mean, they're getting a trios match next week. No titles on the line.
Not a tag title match.
It's just a 6-person.
Yeah, so Hurt Syndicate comes out. We accept your match. We'll kick your ass now, too. But then a funny thing happened. Shelton and Bobby go down there, but Kevin Knight and Speedball kick their ass and send them packing. MJF gives it a go, and third dude, whoever it was, Commander, I guess, diving on him, sends him packing. I think this is the first time since Bobby Lashley showed up that anyone has gotten the better of the Hurt Syndicate as a unit.
Yeah, they actually sold.
Yeah.
But that'll end next week.
Probably, but hey,
Yeah.
it was new, refreshing. Alicia interviews...
Well, you pretty much had to, for crying out loud. I mean, Jiminy Christmas. It's Speedball, Commander, and Kevin Knight versus the Hurt Syndicate. Does any human living think they have a chance?
No.
No, so you got to give them something, and they did.
Alicia interviews Paragon and Daniel Garcia. Adam Cole wants to do an 8-man tag against the Don Callis family. Danny says, there's some things I want, and he eyeballs his old TNT title that Adam now has. But getting my hands on the Don Callis family is number one, so he accepts. Lexi interviews the Patriarchy. Christian says, Nick Wayne had a tremendous showing at Best of the Super Juniors, but he did not win. 14 matches in 22 days, but no excuses. That kind of schedule would earn anyone a night off, but you aren't anyone. You are the son of Christian Cage, the ROH TV champion. You will defend your title tonight in Denver. Nick laughs this off. You did this before. It was light work. Cage says, you didn't let me finish. You will defend it in a 4-way.
Bro,
it's got to be a 4-way.
I absolutely, positively, as basically Nick's uncle, hate this storyline with all of my heart. Dude, how long has this Patriarchy story been going on?
It is time to pull the trigger.
Years?
Yeah.
Nothing ever happens. And worse, not only is this being dragged out, but again, I feel like there is some storyline that maybe Christian has in his head that nobody else is aware of. I'm going to jump forward. So, first I'll jump back. Did we or did we not have that deal where Christian and Nick were having issues? And remember, Christian was gone and Nick was kind of in charge a little bit. And then Christian came back and he was mad about it. And then they had a match where he made Nick wrestle. And then when the match was over, he strapped the belt around his waist, right? And then like the next week, Nick won. But this time, he like put the belt on his shoulder and snickered and walked off like this kid sucks or whatever. And then like the next week, he just like dropped the belt on the mat and walked out on him. And now this week, he's proud of him, but he's not proud of him. So I guess to punish him, he's putting him in a 4-way. But he picks 3 losers for this 4-way. Literally people that never, ever are... I mean, Sammy had a win on AEW television in a singles match 18 months ago, okay? On AEW television, Air Fox has never won ever. And Lee Johnson has never won a singles match ever in AEW. So Christian, I guess his punishment, signs Nick to a match with 3 guys who never win. Nick wins, and then even though the last time this happened, Christian, like, didn't he put the belt on him? This time he dropped the belt. Now this time he hugs him. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Do you like Nick Wayne or not? I don't know. One week you like him, the next week you don't. The next week you like him, the next week you don't. There's never a reason for liking him or disliking him. It's like, is he going to be a dick this week, or is he going to be nice to the kid? And there's like, what's going on here? What the fuck is going on with this storyline? And then, you know, we've been talking literally for years. We've been talking about, at some point, Christian and Adam Copeland are going to reunite, right?
I hope so.
Bro, it's been years, okay? Christian is going to turn babyface at some point soon? There's no indication that he's going to turn babyface. He hasn't done anything likable in years. How long are we going to wait for this? They're in their 50s.
Yeah.
Dude.
The crowd's starting to chant things about Christian's hair.
Where is Luchasaurus? Where's Killswitch? Okay, yes, I realize that he had an illness. That was months and months and months ago. He's been ready to go for months. Where's the guy at? Like, what's going on? This guy goes, it's been so long, Sting now has a long white beard. Correct! The last time they were wrestling Sting, he had no facial hair. Now he's Santa Claus. So anyway, golly, are we going anywhere with this?
It is time to have something happen, yes. Max Caster does an open challenge. Powerhouse Hobbs pins him in 47 seconds. I think he got one eye poke, and that was his whole offense.
I don't even have the energy for this.
No, we got no time, dude. Brody King versus Claudio Castagnoli versus Mascara Dorada versus Kenny Omega. So they did it. This is a very good match. And it was not just a random four-way. They established that everyone else is fighting honorably, and Claudio is a prick and jumping guys from behind and stuff. And Brody is a big, scary monster, and they had to do, like, odd bedfellows to cut him off. Like, Kenny and Claudio working together to cut Brody off at one point because they had to. And they hit him with, like, the Doomsday Device uppercut or something, and it was not a good-looking bump for Brody. It looked absolutely no fun. And it turns into a parade of big moves. It's quite great. And Dorada, of all people, is running wild for a while, convincing the people, and this is like 20 minutes in, that he may actually pull off this match and win this championship. And he's shooting stars Claudio on the outside of the ring on one side, and does a Fosbury flop on a Brody on the other side of the ring. And he tries a diving Rana on Kenny Omega, but Kenny catches him and hits the one-winged angel, gets the pin. Excellent finish to a spectacular match.
See, this was the first match where I think that had we not just had a party match with Rush, Mortos, Dralistico, Speedball, Commander, and Kevin Knight, this probably would have been a lot better. But, you know, we'd seen multiple really good to great matches. And by this point, it was kind of feeling like, I thought the match was very good, but I'd seen so much, it was like, it wasn't it wasn't like great. It was just really good. And I think on another show, this probably would have blown people away. Mascara Dorada was freaking awesome in this match. Everybody sold tons for him. It was very good, but we were starting to see a lot.
So Kenny goes to leave. Okada interrupts. They brawl. Omega is winning until Okada hits a body shot, working over the diverticulitis. Each guy tries his finish, and Okada flees.
So this is the big setup after all these months for this match at All In. Okada just came out and they had a brawl. I kind of figured there might be a little more than this, but this was the setup. And Okada got punched right in the face. And it woke him up after he crumpled. But, like, if you watch it, they're like, throwing shots and everything's good. All of a sudden, Kenny Omega throws this left-hand jab, and he just fucking tagged Okada. And Okada just fucking crumpled. And he stayed crumpled, but then he kind of fired up, and he had a little in him, and he went for that Rainmaker, then he avoided it. So it was like he brought some life into him. So maybe that's the secret. You got to, like, hit the guy.
You got to stiff him.
You got to wake him up.
Yeah.
Because once Omega woke him up, it was on, brother. So hopefully when they have that match at All In, I don't like to see people get hurt. Don't hurt him. But maybe you need to, like, punch him in the mouth at the beginning of the match to, like, get him going. I don't know.
A recap of that Eternal Collision segment with FTR and the Luchadors. Ricochet does a promo where he reminds us all he's putting together a faction and he would be watching all night searching for his flunkies. And he mentioned this promo last week on one of these shows, and I said, maybe he'll get crew.
Well, that's twice now. He said he's looking for a crew.
Yes. And he says this, and then out comes Leo Rush to Russell Wilson. He is getting crew.
He might get crew. I talked about this last week, Vinny. He's a geek.
Yes.
His crew needs to also be geeks. Yeah. And nothing against them, you know, personally or as wrestlers.
Dude,
like,
if you don't think
on this show, they're geeks.
If you don't think they're geeks, watch this entrance. And they came out earlier. People knew who they were. But, dude, this place was hot for everything. And Will Osprey comes out, and he's a megastar, and they're on fire. And these dudes come out to silence.
And then you know what happened?
They had a great match.
Well, Osprey decided, I must make this guy look like a bigger star.
I mean, yes. Yeah, okay, yes. The good news is...
Someone please sit this guy down.
I did write down here, where do we go? Will needs to be more selfish.
Yes.
It's best for everyone. Why is Lio Rush kicking out of an Oscar?
I don't know.
I mean, yes, in a vacuum, the match is fun to watch. But this is not the night. Just be a megastar, Will, please. It would be best for everyone. Now, right after...
He even says, and I realize what they're doing, but like... When Will Ospreay does a promo and he says to Swerve, I thought I was the guy, but I'm not, and you're not the guy. Hangman is, like, I like it to a degree because you got to get Hangman over as a guy who's going to save the company. But Will Ospreay admitting that he doesn't believe that he's the guy, and then coming out here and going like, not even 50-50, like he gave Lio Rush most of the match. Lio fucking Rush, who's coming out dressed like it's that fucking Mario character, someone told me, not the Goomba, the one with the spikes.
Is it a Koopa?
Whatever, the Koopa, King Koopa, coming out with these Sonic the Hedgehog outfits. I don't need to see Will Ospreay selling the majority of the match for Lio Rush. Nothing against Lio Rush. But the key is, if you like Lio Rush and you think he's great, and you want him going 60-40 with Will Ospreay, then he should be winning and beating people and push like somebody. Not coming out here and maybe going 50-50 with Top Flight, who are also jobbers, in a feud that neither team even... No one won the feud. Remember? Dustin and Sammy won the feud. So, yeah, I mean, it was good in a vacuum, but, bro, what the fuck is Will Ospreay doing selling most of the match for Lio Rush?
So right after I wrote, Will needs to be more selfish, it's best for everyone, Action Andretti attacked him and laid him out from behind.
Yes.
Not what I had in mind.
Now he needs to go 60-40 with Andretti and make him look like he's the star.
Yes. Hangman saves, and he and Ospreay bump fists. Hangman sticks around for a promo. Ospreay has my back, I have his, but I do not need his help to win the title. I don't need help from him. I don't need help from Swerve, the worst person in the world. I promise to you, I will never need nor accept help from Swerve Strickland. He's running down Moxley and soon finds himself surrounded. Moxley's in the ring, and all the other Death Riders are at ringside. Osprey comes running back with chairs, and the Death Riders retreat.
I thought this was a good promo by Hangman. Although we got a babyface here that's he's going to end up being a liar. Because I think
so.
He is going to accept some
Unless Swerve helps him behind his back or something.
Swerve. That could happen as well.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this... I could have talked for hours, actually, about Osprey and Lio Rush, but I'll let it go for now.
Well, we have an hour left, and we still have 4 hours wrestling to cover, at least. Lexi interviews the Don Callis family. I cannot do justice to Don Callis' performance here. I will not try. But he's upset with...
I've never seen someone so excited about Hechicero, and that includes Bryan Danielson.
No, it's not close. He doesn't like Bandito, who has cost him muy dinero. Bandito, he says, go get the Outrunners, who I hate, to face Fletcher, Takeshita, and this man. And the speech he gives is so over the top and so hyperbolic, not just in content, but in delivery and emotion. The best luchador in the history of Mexico. It's so big and grandiose, this speech. I thought there was going to be some kind of punchline.
You thought El Santo was going to come out from the grave?
Or Caminito or something? But no, it's Hechicero, a guy who is on AEW regularly and wins sometimes.
Sometimes. I'm not sure he's ever won a singles match.
He's won here and there, usually against other luchadors. Atlantis Jr. and Templario versus FTR. Dude, we're talking about matches going 50-50 or 60-40. This is 99-1 in favor of the luchadors. And it goes on and on and on. And they say, Tony Khan is a huge announcement. Do not change the channel. They begged you. And every time it looks like FTR is going to get the advantage, they are immediately cut off and look like goofs. Even the crowd is like, okay, you can get the heat now. We're ready. And then they just hit a shatter machine out of nowhere and win.
Yeah.
Excuse me. They tried a shatter machine, got countered. Dax goes to trip somebody on a suplex. Cash falls on top. I think Dax was supposed to hold the leg down, But the guy fell
He
too
was.
far inside the ring?
Yeah, they were way too far
So
away.
trying to be a clean pin on a suplex?
It was a clean pin for a man falling on you on a vertical suplex.
What a weird match.
It was, but you know what? I have much less of a problem with this because at least Atlantis Jr. is a son of one of the all-time legends of Lucha Libre, and him and Templario are two of the bigger stars in CMLL. So fine, okay? It's not like, you know,
Well,
the crew who, if we actually watch the show, we know they're two job guys.
Yes. Yeah. I assume that Atlantis Senior will be facing FTR in some form at the Grand Slam Mexico
I want to
show.
see Dax versus Atlantis Senior.
They might do singles.
I'd pay for that.
They could do that. Yeah.
The thing is, this Dax is like he is so great. Cash is great as well, but Dax is actually more well-rounded because he's figured out when he was a babyface, okay? When he was a babyface, you could tell that as a person, he really wanted to be liked, okay? And so he would do these promos and he would do stuff on social media, and it was always this maybe pandering isn't the right word, but shucks, blah blah. Well, now he does it as a heel, and it's incredible because the people hate it. He's second to Don Callis when it comes to getting heat on the mic.
Yeah.
And in the ring, he is absolutely incredible. And I thought this was a very, very good match. I actually thought the match would be better than it was. But when it was over, my number one thought was, okay, announcers just said, you have won 5 straight. Well, here comes Stokely. He's going to cut a promo on Hurt Syndicate and MJF and MVP. No. He just cut a promo about how everybody would fall to FTR. He makes no mention of the Hurt Syndicate. He makes no mention of the tag team titles. He makes nothing. It's like, why are they winning all of these matches if it's not even mentioned that they should be in line for a tag team title shot? I don't know. Baffled. They're just wrestling luchadors.
It was a very strange segment start to finish. A Tekla hype video. There's shots of Japan. There's shots of spiders. And by Japan, I mean like the streets and people walking around and just culture. And then she lays out Jamie Hayter last week. And there's shots from Stardom. And they say she was fired for attacking the president of that company. Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita and Hechicero versus Bandito and Los Outrunners. It was another fun party match. More of the same. This is the one where like they go through commercial. Turbo gets a hot tag and gets a bigger reaction for doing body slams than anything else in this match. And
he goes body slam. And then I think it was
Takesha's last.
I think it was Takesha.
He's the biggest.
He goes to body slam Takesha, but he can't. So what's the spot? I'll try to lift you. Don't move. And then I'll try again. And jump as high as you can. Yes. That's actually the spot. He tries to lift him, but he's too heavy. But on the second try, he like almost throws him in the air and slams him. The place went fucking crazy for this body slam.
And then Bandito was isolated for a while, and the Outrunners returned to save. And it's like, okay, wrap this match up, folks.
No, I was liking it. I thought this was great. They went for the son of a bitch elbow, thwarted. And then Kyle, who for whatever reason, he was barely in this match. It was like Takeshita and Hechicero worked almost the entire match, and then Fletcher got in for like the last 2 minutes, hit a brainbuster, got the pin, and again, Fletcher and Takeshita are the team, the tag team. They got another win here, and no mention whatsoever of a tag team title shot. Instead, Fletcher will now be facing, of all fucking people, Anthony Bowens, who now him and Max Caster, both job guys.
They're both losing streaks.
Yeah, because Anthony Bowens is in line for his 3rd straight loss. And, I think I don't know if this is working for these guys.
A recap of Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford beating Anna Jay and Harley Cameron in a street fight last week. And then we find out that Megan and Penelope have beaten Anna again tonight, are dragging her out on stage. Penelope orders Megan to throw her off the stage, but Ty Mello returns to save. I do like they've had the deep modulated voice saying Ty Mello, just like her husband Sammy Guevara in his music. And so she goes out with a stick.
Actually, it's like Hobbs.
Him actually the same gimmick. Yeah.
When they said it, I actually thought Hobbs was coming out to save whoever, Anna Jay.
You hear Hobbs' music a lot more often.
Yes.
And does have the same gimmick, but I'm pretty sure the intent is to match her husband. That would make more sense. Anyway, she attacks with a stick, and they're separated, and that's that. Lexi interviews Anthony Bowens and Billy Gunn. Because it's the Pride of Pro Wrestling Month. We need big moments. Kyle Fletcher knows big moments, so next week I should whip Kyle Fletcher's ass. Let's go celebrate Pride of Pro Wrestling Month. Billy says, yeah, I want to celebrate, and they leave. That was their appearance on the show.
Are we really doing Pride of Pro Wrestling Month, and he's going to just start losing to all these people? Is that really where we're going here?
It's a poor month.
I mean,
that's a lot of...
I got it again here.
2 shows a week.
Bird here says, people chanted with Max, although they did add until they didn't. Can someone do me a favor and, you can do this on Twitter or whatever. I want a side-by-side, okay? I want a side-by-side video. I want Max getting the people... 10% of them to quietly chant along with him. And then on the other side, I want the Acclaimed doing their scissor me daddy ass. I want you to put them side by side. So everybody who's going, hey, this is working for Max, he's starting to get people to chant with him, can see that it's not really working all that much. He's got a couple chants. Fuck. He was way more over. They were both 50 times more over with the Acclaimed. I don't care if you got sick of the Acclaimed. Every act in this company goes on way too long. They were way better off.
Another 4-way. Sammy Guevara versus Lee Johnson versus AR Fox versus Nick Wayne.
Maybe they could reunite him to get married at the end of Pride Month.
I could do that. The fans were inexplicably chanting AR Fox's name. Maybe this will be the night he gets an actual win. And then they got tired. It's it's a 4-way. Only one guy could possibly win this match. We've seen party matches all night long. Even Blake Christian, even in matches he is not in, he must still get all his shit in.
That actually happened.
He's in there in
out of nowhere. He just showed up to do a flip.
Yeah. So everyone hits big moves for a long time. It comes down to Nick Wayne and AR Fox. The announcer's like, oh, we know these guys hate each other. With no explanation of that whole storyline. I know it was 2 years ago, but you could do a refresher. And AR dives on everyone, but Nick catches him with a fisherman buster and wins. And my takeaway was they did more to try to get AR Fox over than Nick Wayne in Nick's win, which is a theme in a lot of AEW matches.
Okay, are you ready for this?
I don't know what this is, so no.
Okay, in his entire AEW career, his entire AEW career, AR Fox has won 0 singles matches on television. 0. He has won a tag match with Swerve Strickland. But as far as singles matches, he has won 0 matches ever in his AEW career. Would you like to know how many title shots he's gotten?
AR Fox?
Yeah.
I'll say 5.
9. He's got a trios title shot, a TNT title shot, a trios title shot, a trios title shot, a trios title shot, an international title shot, an international title shot, a trios title shot, and an ROH World Television title shot. Despite winning 0 matches ever, 0 singles matches ever in AEW on television. That's impressive.
So next week for the other 4-hour show. Oh, but I also want to say that four-way, I understand the point because this week Christian hates Nick and wants him to fight 3 guys. But you pick Nick and any one of those guys and just do a one-on-one match would have been way better.
Oh, yeah. And it would have been a good showcase for Nick that just came back from the Best of the Super Juniors as opposed to a showcase for AR Fox.
And then beating him.
Yes.
So it accomplished nothing. Next week, on the next 4-hour Dynamite, Swerve Osprey 2, Mystico returns, the Hurt Syndicate versus Speedball and Commander and Kevin Knight, Kyle Fletcher versus Anthony Bowens, and Tony Storm versus Julia Hart, which had me asking, if that's the match they're going to do next week, why didn't Julia get a pin in tonight's tag match?
That's a good question.
Tekla versus Lady Frost.
Finally, after all these years, a successful debut.
It's short, and for the first minute or two, it goes back and forth. It was not back and forth by the end. Tekla catches her with an elbow, just complete death, and Lady Frost goes down. She does her very melodramatic spider pose, hits a big-ass spear, gets a submission hold called the Death Trap, and wins. And then she continues the attack until Queen Aminata saves by throwing shoes at her.
Yes, you actually imagined the beginning of this match because it's how it usually works. But in fact, Lady Frost got exactly one move in, a boot, and the rest of the time was absolutely murdered, squashed, and then murdered again afterwards. That is how you debut somebody. When this was over, it was like, my God, Tekla's going to be in line for the winner of Tony and Mercedes. As opposed to the usual debut, which is, the jobber looked better. So this was good.
It happens a lot. And then Queen Aminata does a promo backstage. She knows everyone new is trying to make a name for themselves, but she is the one and only African queen. And in Africa, we stomp on spiders left and right. She challenges Tekla for next week.
Yeah, that's why Queen Aminata threw a shoe at her.
Yes.
So you kill a spider.
By throwing a shoe at it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, there's some people that they'll throw a shoe from a long way away as opposed to getting close.
I do my best to get them outside alive because I like spiders and I hate bugs. And spiders eat bugs. So there you go. A recap of Omega and Okada brawling and the major announcement. Tony Khan's major announcement is made by Tony Schiavone.
Yeah.
And the major announcement is the match we all knew was happening at All In for like this entire year is in fact happening at All In. Kenny Omega versus Okada. They did make clear it is winner take all.
It's actually better.
Okay.
The big announcement is Okada Omega at All In, a contract signing next week, and a video package. The
reason I'm laughing
very hard that there will be a video package next week.
They're talking about during the main event. They're talking about the contract signing next week, and Nigel says also there's going to be a video package. You gotta tune in.
Yeah. Thank you, Nigel. I appreciate it.
Yes, we're laughing, but we're sincere.
Well, kind of. I got to say one thing about the beginning of this show. So I'm all about recaps, you know what I'm saying? And I know Tony is petrified of recaps because he thinks people are going to turn the channel or whatever. So I think that, we're going to have to try to come to an agreement here in some way. I don't get too mad and he tries to do them. But they had a video package at the beginning of this show. It was for the Swerve Osprey angle on Collision. Remember they had that angle backstage?
Yes.
Okay. So they go, we're gonna see a recap of what happened on Collision, okay? So if you recall, that video package, the angle on Collision where they argued backstage, it was maybe 50 seconds. At most a minute. They showed up, they had words with each other, and, that was it.
They threw hands.
Yeah, but it was less than a minute. The whole thing was less than a minute.
Yes.
They couldn't even air 1 minute. They chopped that fucking thing up like they got that segment down to about 8 seconds. It was like they showed Swerve saying 4 words, then they immediately cut to Osprey in the middle of saying 3 words, then they immediately and there's a brawl. I was like, you can't even air a 1 minute recap of a 1 minute angle? You have to chop that up on a 4-hour show? But the answer is yes, they did.
And so the main event, in all seriousness, RPG Vice and Lance Archer and Josh Alexander versus Paragon and Daniel Garcia.
These Paragon blokes, every time, they're always put in the position where everyone will be dead.
Yes.
They got the death spot at the pay-per-view. They got the final 15 minutes of a 4-hour show, which, by the way, did in fact die in the quarter hours.
Yeah. I saw it come out and was like, well, but between all 4 of them in this meaningless match, exactly like every other match in the show, nothing on the line, didn't matter who won or lost. And I thought they knew no one was watching all 4 hours of this show, and they had to do something in this match, and these poor dudes were put out there to die. And then they did a fucking overrun. Fuck you.
Okay. All right. I sound like Dave, but I'm actually gonna defend this. It's not even a defense. Are you ready for this? Technically, Dynamite had the overrun. Collision just went 2 hours.
Oh, it started late and ended late.
Yes.
Gotcha.
That's the official explanation.
What is the near? There's a hammer right here I can hit you with.
Dude, I didn't make the decision. Don't yell at me.
All right.
Why does everyone take everything out on me? Just telling you.
You're here.
Just telling you what happened.
I mean, the match was
It was fine.
It was 4 great wrestlers having a party match.
Everybody was exhausted,
Everyone was
including
tired.
me.
Nothing mattered. Cole pinned Rocky with a boom. I'm like, okay, so Adam Cole's TNT champion with nothing going on. He pins a guy to build a challenger, but no, the challenger they're building to is Garcia again. Because no one ever moves up or down the card in this show. Down sometimes. No one ever moves up. And so Cole and Garcia have a feud for the TNT title. The title switches. They just keep on feuding. We've seen this match before. We're going to see it again.
Yes.
And then you mentioned Fletcher and Takeshita are a tag team. Well, they come out at the end of the show. Are they going to challenge Adam Cole?
Well, they need to challenge somebody because it ain't going to be the tag team champions.
I guess.
Yeah.
That was
Hey, listen,
long.
I got to say, 4 hours is a long time, and I had a couple of things that I obviously, if you listen to this review just now, I questioned a few things. But at the end of the day, I very much enjoyed this 4 hours. It was too long, but there was nothing bad on the show.
No.
The matches were all good to great, and I don't want to see it every week, but I thought, they did a very good job. If you have to book a 4-hour show, they did a very good job. So, there you go. And we don't have to watch Collision on Saturday now.
I guess that's true. We have 6 other hours of wrestling to watch that day. We also watched WWE NXT, a show that had some ups and some downs.
Dude, this show fucking sucked. This was one of those shows where when it was over, I thought, you know what? A few qualms. I felt when it was over like I felt at the end of that Dynamite review. Some qualms here and there, some things I didn't like, some things I questioned, but overall a good show. I reviewed this on Observer Live, thinking that going in, and I think I hated almost every single fucking segment on this show for various reasons. So, I'm ready to go.
A recap, and I need recap so badly these days. There's so many shows I can't keep track of what's going on. Ethan Page beat Ricky Saints for the North American title last week. Trick Williams was confronted by Mike Santana. It is funny, and I'm not picking on Vic here because he's just doing his job, but Vic Joseph is the NXT announcer saying Mike Santana has to save TNA by winning their championship back from an NXT guy.
Yes.
There's some strange logic there.
But then, 2 hours later, when they're actually having the match, he can't figure out why the fans are cheering Santana. and everyone's trying to explain it to him. They're like, well, he's a good guy. Trick's a dick. And Corey's like, we're in Orlando. You know that there's other stuff here in Orlando, and there's fans of both promotions here. Vic's just like, he doesn't get it.
Does Corey still think they tape in the Impact Zone?
Well, I mean, they did for years. I don't think he said now, but his point was, for years, this was the home base of TNA, and we got TNA fans here.
That is true. And then they recap JC Jane beating Stephanie Vaquer for the women's title, and they treat it like the absolute fucking apocalypse. They're showing these highlights, and it looks like every other highlight package you ever saw, and there's crowd, bodies flying and crowd cheering and music playing, and the referee counts 3. It goes dead silent except for a desolate biting wind, and you hear the announcer say Stephanie Vaquer is the new champion. They show everyone arriving. Show opens with what was supposed to be the North American 4-Way Summit, although Ray Phoenix, Ethan says, is stuck on a plane and won't even be here tonight. So they go back and forth. I should be celebrating. I should be tap dancing on the memory of Ricky Saints. I got to face you for 3 guys. Then I got to face some Evolve kid. I didn't agree to anything Ricky Saints did. Laredo says Ethan has no huevos. Javon threatens to stick his foot up Ethan's ass. Sean Legacy comes out. Refers to Ethan, Javon, and Laredo. He plugs his match for the WWE Men's Evolve title because there's not enough titles in wrestling these days. Out come the Vanity Project, which is swipe right in another fella.
This was the beginning of the end for me here.
So I'm old. I was not cool when I was young. I get less cool by the year, and I realize this is very much what's the phrase? The something calling the something other. The hypocrisy.
The pot calling the kettle
That's
black.
the one. Yeah,
Thank you.
These guys were dressed like the biggest dorks. They looked fresh off a trip to JCPenney with their moms. Maybe that's the idea. I don't know. So a brawl starts. The faces at Triple Topes, and they just keep on brawling as the announcers plug a trios match.
This fucking Vanity Project comes out, and there's 3 of them. There's the guy that looks 12, his fucking partner, and some other dude. Okay. They put the following graphic on the screen. The Vanity Project. I'm like, who in the fuck are the Vanity Project? And not once during this opening segment do they say the name of anybody in the Vanity Project. At this point, I'm like, all right, at least they got a match coming up. They better fucking identify these guys. I understand that Evolve is on Wednesdays. You want people to watch Evolve and not watch Dynamite? First off, that's not happening, okay? But, like, no one's watching it now. I don't have any idea what's going on in Evolve, okay? A small handful of people are, but there's like 700,000 people watching NXT every week. Who the fuck are these people? And this was just the beginning. Just the beginning.
Vikingo is here with another championship, the AAA Mega title. I will say one thing about this dude. He always looks so happy to be wherever he is. And the fans are happy to see him, and it feels like a big deal. Chase U versus Dark State.
Yeah.
Everyone was going 5 zillion miles an hour. It was so fast, I couldn't even tell if it was good or not. Nothing was clearly botched. I guess that's good.
This was a match where they choreographed the match because it was all green guys, okay? Andre Chase never tagged in. The only actual veteran in the six-man never tagged in. So it's Kale Dixon, it's Uriah Connors, and it's the 3 Dark State guys. I still have no idea who they are. And it was a match. And when it was over, I was like, what the fuck do I even write about this match?
Okay, I'm not the only one.
No, and all I wrote was, nobody stood out.
That's true.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I got to make a comment because you ridiculed the swipe rights outfits and such.
Yes.
And we're old.
Yeah.
Okay. You know how things come back into fashion and everything?
Yeah.
Well, apparently mustaches are back.
And mullets.
And mullets,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing with mustaches, okay? I realize I'm old. So for 30 years, okay? For 30 years, people have been making fun of people with mustaches, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
They say, hey, what's with the 70s porn stash? You look like some creep from the 70s, you know, whatever. They say much worse things than just porn star about mustaches, okay? Well, these youngsters grew up. They didn't grow up in that era. And so I guess they've decided that mustaches are cool again, all right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you're starting to see people wearing mustaches on their face. You know what I'm saying? Mustache. So this is the thing with mustaches that I'm going to try to help you youngsters out, okay? Even in the 70s, nobody liked mustaches, okay? Even in the 70s, only creeps in porn had these mustaches, okay? The only people in the 70s that could actually pull off mustaches, and the 80s, were like burly.
Magnum PI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Magnum TA, Magnum PI, Don Fry. You got to be like a big, thick, rugged dude to pull off a mustache, okay? All the skinny guys in the 70s that could barely grow a mustache but did it anyway, they look like idiots then too. So I was scrolling Instagram or whatever, and I came across these guys. They do dad jokes. Have you seen this Instagram?
I've seen dad jokes.
It is fucking amazing. But anyway, one of the guys that does these dad jokes, he's got a mustache, okay? But he's like a big kind of burlyish dude, and he can pull it off, okay? But like Uriah Connors, who's Finley's son, he's got the goddamn mustache. But he's a skinny guy. He's got the undercut from the 90s and a ponytail, but he doesn't have thick hair. It's like kind of thinnish hair. Not like he's going bald, but it's just like not thick. So he's got
very
this
stringy hair.
He's got this preposterous, and he's got the mustache. And it's like, you are impossible to take seriously. Do you understand? And the funny thing is, like, he's talented and he's charismatic, but this look is atrocious. It's atrocious. So I don't know what it is, dude. I know things come back, and things come back in style or whatever. But like a lot of these old styles that went out of style, they went out of style because not enough people could make them look cool. Some people can. Most people can't. So if you're listening to this and you have a mustache, talk to someone you trust and find out if you can really pull it off. About 10% of you can. The rest of you can't. It's a public service announcement.
So Shawn Legacy and Javon Evans and the Radio Kid are all bitching to Ava. And she responds, I'm not making this up. There's 4 of them, 3 of you, 8-man tag.
Yeah.
Now she does at least at the last second count and tells them to find a partner. This is something she loves to do. So they like book a match and then quit halfway through the booking and say, "Go find your own partner."
Yes.
I'm not doing my job anymore.
This character is by design. Okay, there's no way it's not. Her character is like a young, 20-something who's got a job, but they're half lazy about it. Like, she'll do half the work, but not the other half. And the funny thing is, in real life, she announces the match, but doesn't announce who's in it. She just says 8-man tag. And then as she leaves, thank God for Javon. He's smart enough to realize she didn't say the names. And so he says, looks like it's us against Ethan and the Vanity Project tonight. It's like, thank you, Javon.
Yes.
Good job.
And then thankfully for everyone, Dragon Lee happens to be walking the halls of NXT this week in his gear, ready to go. So he's the 8th man, I guess.
Now these people on the board are worried about their mustaches. Did you hear what I said? Find someone you trust who will tell you the truth and ask them if your mustache looks good, okay? 10% of you, it's gonna be fine. You may even wear it well. You ever seen Don Fry without his mustache?
Warren Moon without his?
Bad times. Yeah, that guy in The Big Lebowski, the old guy. What's his name?
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott. Can you imagine him without his mustache?
That'd be weird.
For 10% of you, the mustache is going to make your look. For the other 90%, it's a disaster. So find someone you trust to find out if you pull it off or not.
They showed Big Lebowski in the North Bend Theater last night.
I wish I could have been there.
I think that movie gets better every time I see it.
Probably does.
It's incredible. Sarah interviews Trick Williams. Trick says Santana is the standard of TNA, but the standards have changed. For 20-plus years, TNA has been searching for the one to make them legit, and now they have him. Oh, Jesus Christ, he may be right there. Tamira Mensah-Stock. Like, I'm going to go on strike.
No, her name is Tyra May Steele. She is not Tamira Mensah-Stock, Olympic gold medalist, even though she wears red, white, and blue and wears her
fucking Olympic medal.
Gold medal.
How about TMS? Can I go by the initials?
Fuck, dude. I'm so irritated.
You know, the other thing is,
I want to find...
You've been ranting about this for months, but now it's like she's going to be a regular part of the show. Now it's in my face, and I can't pretend I don't hear it and see it.
I want to find some really rich guy who decides that he wants to start a wrestling promotion. I want to accept the offer to be the booker. I want to demand he set aside $3 million so the moment her contract comes due, I can sign her and push her as Tamira Mensah-Stock, not Tyra May Steele.
So she's wearing her Olympic medal in the women's locker room earlier this week. Ariana steps up to talk about winning beauty pageants and not talk about yourself so much. There were no graphics for anyone involved here. This week's most stupid storyline in wrestling, and topping Mr. Stone and TNA, that's saying something. Miles Bourne versus Charles Dempsey in a rounds match where Miles has to win to get out of the group.
Yes.
He does not want to be in the group anymore.
Ironclad contract.
So not only is Tavian Heights in his corner as part of the No Quarter Catch crew, all 4 of them come out together. So Tavian is helping the guy leave? Does that make him a traitor?
I think Tavian wants out too, to be fair.
I guess. So they're doing the match. It is never not funny watching Miles do Randy Orton cosplay. It's not even the wrestling moves. Watch the way he poses after he hits a shoulder block.
Oh, yeah.
Watch the way he gets up off the mat.
He is a clone.
It's eerie. So they do this match. Dempsey gets pinned with a cradle right before the end of the first round. It's 2 falls to a finish. There is only one spit bucket in the No Quarter Catch crew inventory. Tavion and Ren are fighting over it to one corner or the other. The entire second round is during the break. Nothing happens.
Yeah. 20 years of UFC on national television, and not once has a round ever had to take place during a commercial break.
Yeah.
They do this to irritate me. I'm certain.
Yes. So round 2 ends. The bell rings. Dempsey throws a knee after the bell. Everyone boos. And then round 3 starts. Dempsey immediately wins the Regalplex. They go to round 4, and they point out, these guys used to be Heritage Cup champions. Now it's Noam Dar. Like, that's right.
I know. When they mentioned Noam Dar, I was blown away.
He came back,
like,
won the title, and left back to Scotland.
It's like AEW.
It was very much an AEW.
He showed up, he won, and then he vanished.
Yes.
Where is he?
So the clock is ticking down. We're in the round, and they're trading every cradle you ever saw. I believe Dempsey hit a backslide from hell at one point. And then Miles jumps in the air and strikes him with both feet in the face and pins him.
Yes.
I need someone to do the research. When was the last time somebody won a match in the WWE umbrella with a standing dropkick?
Yeah.
That is more old school than anything Dempsey has ever done.
I got to say that they openly talk about how Miles works exactly like Randy Orton. The fans all know it. They all chant baby Orton or baby Randy or whatever. And, when it first started, I didn't like it at all. But with each passing week, I'm more and more thinking that this is awesome. Because this is the most important part, he has his own distinct personality. He's partially deaf. He's therefore got a very unique way of speaking because he's deaf. And he's got his own personality. And he comes across as a very genuine, likable person. He's only a Randy Orton clone in how he works. As a person, he's not trying to be Randy. Well, he'll probably get the same tats, and I think he's dating someone that looks exactly like Randy's wife. But the point is, his personality is different. I was watching this match, man, and as much as I liked the drop kick, I thought, you know what? If he would have hit a fucking RKO... this place would have lost their shit. And I do think that the day needs to come. First off, the day needs to come where Randy Orton shows up and they go face to face. Because this fucking place, the walls will melt. And if he ever wins the NXT title, there should be no teases. There should be no preview, nothing. He just needs to hit that fucking RKO and win the title. And it'll be an unbelievable pop if that ever happens. So I'm all in on Baby Randy at this point.
So Miles is free of the No Quarter Catch crew, but Tavion leaves with him.
Yeah, because Tavion wants out too.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been arguing about it on TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
So speaking of things that make no sense, the 3 dudes in the culling are having a meeting when Izzy just walks up and drops the Virgin with a chair. Just smacks with the bat, kills him, he's dead. He was like, what are you doing? So apparently, Izzy Dame can book matches now. She lets them know, I have changed our match from a trios match to a tag match. Also, I have moved it to next week. Then she explains her actions here. The Virgin was never fully invested in the culling. If you're not in, you're out. And the other 2 dudes look at each other and say, you're right. And they're like, what the fucking fuck just fucking happened?
Vinny, calm down, dude. I realize
I'm seeing your point about how most of the show sucked.
What played on television was weird and goofy. But I want to make it abundantly clear, I'm not advocating for this, nor do I want it to happen. But tomorrow is Friday. And if I had to venture a guess, I expect to wake up and see that the Virgin has been cut.
Entirely possible.
That is what I think happened here. Because this doesn't make any sense otherwise. And I can tell you that there's a lot of people in WWE right now very nervous about Friday, because Friday is cutting day, and they have been cutting of late.
I understand that, and I like the Virgin. I don't want this guy to lose his job at all, but it would have been better for the viewers if they had just written him off. He's just gone. We don't need an explanation. He just doesn't show up one time.
Well, they did that on Monday with Carlito, and people complained about that, so...
I see. Tyra May Steele versus Ariana Grace. Where to begin?
I'll tell you where to begin. Tekla and Lady Frost. One of these was done right. One of these was done wrong.
Yeah.
God bless her. Could you pick a worse first opponent for Tyra May Steele?
Dude.
Especially if you're going to be going 50-50 for a while.
Do you realize in the last 10 days I have watched 3 Ariana Grace matches? I deserve some kind of award. So Tyra Mae Steele comes out. I had to listen to his intro like 6 times. I thought he said she was from San Juan. He said she was the winner of LFG Season 1.
She's not an Olympic gold medalist, Vinny. She's the winner of LFG.
That's an impressive achievement.
Yes.
Yeah. So Ariana, oh my God. Like, she's rotted everything, but the short arm clothesline she did in this match was probably the worst.
The biggest issue is she's a shooter.
I think in real life she probably is.
I'm sure she is, but if you watch this fucking show, which I'm forced to do every week, she's a beauty queen who is like no good at wrestling. That's the fucking storyline.
And much like her father, will probably be a lot better as a shooter. So I made the comment on watching Impact about how Ash by Elegance, the former Dana Brooke, has been doing this for over a decade and still like she's playing a wrestler in a sketch comedy show. Ariana looks like she's playing a pro wrestler on a children's Muppet show or something. Or a cheap local appliance commercial. It's not good. It's not getting any better. I can't evaluate anything Tyra did. She did like a cool throw and a takedown and one with a German. She
just Germaned her. Yeah.
What the hell is she supposed to do? It's Ariana Grace.
I don't know. This was not a killer showcase for
No.
Tyra Mae Steele, LFG winner.
Yeah. Recap of JC winning last week and everyone being shocked like it was Brock breaking Undertaker's streak or something. Sarah interviews Mike Santana. Goddamn this Mike Santana.
Goddamn, TNA is saving NXT.
They did it. They totally did this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was fucking awesome in this interview.
Trick's not a fighting champion. He's a pretender. I'm fighting for everyone who's ever set foot in a TNA ring, says something in Spanish, fires the crowd up. Fighting for my baby girl at home. I promised her I'm coming home to TNA champion, and to her I don't break promises.
Can we stop making promises to little children that are being broken week after week? Golly.
So. But in a vacuum, goddamn, this was great.
Yeah.
So Toxic Attraction comes out for a promo. JC's celebrating being champion. I was always getting better, staying ready. Honestly, kind of a babyface promo. Fallon and I started this business together. She's like a sister. We decided it was time to run the play. And Fallon is subtly still kind of unhappy about being...
she's not all in.
Yeah, but she's by the side. And then a fan jumped the rail with a microphone.
Yeah.
They had a graphic for this fan. Identify her as Lainey Reed. Who the fuck is Lainey Reed?
Can I say something real quick? I want all of the fans that do this listening to know that I do appreciate it, okay? I had multiple people like messaging me on Twitter and emailing me and texting me about who Lainey Reed is, okay? I appreciate it, everybody. I really do. But, and you can continue to do it, but this isn't your job.
Right.
It's their job. She jumped the rail, and it's like, who in the fuck is Lainey Reed? I have absolutely no earthly idea. And she's just like cutting this fucking promo. And I'm like, what? And then Jordan.
She talks about Stephanie Valkyr. So it's the segment, everyone comes out, I want a title shot. No, I want a title shot. Jada Parker comes out to the biggest cheers in the building.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So everyone wants a title shot.
It's on purpose now.
Yeah.
Piss me off.
A brawl breaks out. Thea Hale's in there, and the lights go out, and Mary A. May appears in the crow's nest. She also wants a title shot. And the deal is, the segment ends, Mariah May is up in the crow's nest, and the opposite side of the building, all the women have the brawl. In the ring is Fatal Influence or Toxic Attraction, whichever. And on the apron, still there, is Lainey Reed.
Yeah.
So it appears the answer to who the fuck is Lainey Reed is she's the first person Mariah May can beat in NXT.
Maybe.
I can only assume. Why the hell? Dude, the entire roster was out there. Only 4 of them were left standing tall. I guess 5 if you count Mariah. Stevie Turner, we are told, is the Evolve Prime Minister.
Wow.
Not the commissioner,
Jesus.
not the GM, the Prime Minister.
That's important.
She has the entire Evolve roster in the locker room saying, someday you might make it to NXT. And Callie Armstrong is their champion. God bless her. She has 3 seconds to speak. She gets her own name out there. And
good for her.
Exactly. Yes. And that was
her
this.
up.
That was it. They let us know that...
I did the math, by the way. It's not even math. It's just counting. Do you realize that on the main NXT roster, not counting Julia, Stephanie, or Roxanne, who just called up, not counting any of the Evolve women, Lainey, whatever her name was, just NXT women, 24 active women on the NXT roster. I'm pretty sure like SmackDown's got like 13
Yeah.
and Raw's got 17. They have so many women. And they're adding women from the main roster, and they're adding women from Evolve, and probably AAA. Actually, we know AAA for Worlds Collide. There's a lot of women.
Yes. They alert us that Ricky Saints has suffered acute trauma to his larynx.
His larynx. That's what Vic said.
Yes, he did. Yes. Ethan gives his crew a pep talk, but they're only interested in women's, so he just rolls his eyes at them. Javon Evans and Shawn Legacy and Laredo Kid and Dragon Lee versus Ethan Page and Vanity Project.
Okay. They call out the Vanity Project, and what do they put on the screen? The Vanity Project. They don't tell us who these... There's 3 guys unidentified. So I watched this match, and I thought, all right, fuckers, how long before you tell me who these 3 guys are, okay? So I'm watching this match, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. And Booker T has no idea who they are. He has absolutely no clue. Corey Graves, I also don't believe has any idea who anybody is, because he keeps talking about these Evolve stars, and then he'll say, that young man, but he won't actually say a name. So I'm waiting, and they're like going back and forth and doing moves and spots, and finally, Vic mentions Drake. I'm like, who the fuck is Drake?
Canadian rapper.
Is that his first name? Is that his last name? Is it Drake Maverick?
It could be him, too.
I mean, who the fuck is Drake?
James Drake?
Then, Smokes. Okay? So my first thought is, Julius Smokes?
Oh, yeah.
He's not here. I'm sure of that.
He would stand out
And
in
then
this
I
group.
think about it. I'm like, okay, hold on a second. Smokes. Who the fuck is Smokes? Oh, that's right. Smokes is the other guy in Swipe Right. The one that's not 12. But I still don't know what his fucking first name is. And then they mentioned Brad.
Brad is the baby.
Brad is the guy who looks 12.
Yes.
I remember that one, okay? So, like, I'm just watching, and I'm waiting, and I don't think they ever said, except for Brad Baylor, they did say. They said that enough that I remembered off the top of my head. Huh? They never said, I don't think, anyone else's name. I'm just watching this going, God fucking damn it. We're not watching Evolve. We don't know who these fucking people are. Will you please tell us their names? If we're if we're not supposed to care, fine, okay? If it's just a squash match with 3 nerds and I'm not supposed to care about them or watch Evolve to see them, then fine, don't name them. But if I'm supposed to fucking care, who are they? God damn it. And then worse, it's like it's supposed to be an Evolve showcase, but they're so green.
It was?
And they're trying, these like Javon, Shawn Legacy's great. Laredo, Dragon Lee, and Ethan, they're working so hard. And they're trying so hard. But, I mean, Brad Baylor, he's got a good gimmick, but he's lost. Like, he's miles away from the ring when Laredo's trying to do a dive.
That was the part, yeah.
Yeah, and like Laredo got caught up in the ropes.
We got caught up in the ropes.
But I watched the replay, and it's like, even if he hadn't, Brad Baylor's like on the other side of the barricade.
He got caught in the... Laredo got caught up in the ropes because he was running, and he saw there's no wrestler over there to dive onto, so he like stopped running, and then started again. His timing was all thrown off. Yeah. So they pinned Brad with a hanging stomp, and Dragon Lee hits that in Destino for the win. Why did Dragon Lee win? Does he have something coming up I'm not aware of? The other guy's all challenging Ethan.
I don't know.
Did we talk about the luchadors in the crowd?
No.
Well, you have guest stars from AAA here. There's 3 of them sitting together. There's Aerostar, who
Okay.
I'm vaguely familiar with.
Yeah.
Octagon Jr.
Yeah.
Seen him. Self-explanatory. He's the son of Octagon. And a third fella. Mr. Iguana.
Yeah.
And
He's on Worlds Collide.
His face. Thank God. I need more Mr. Iguana in my life.
What did Tom tell me today? He did an interview online, and they asked Mr. Iguana, what do you do in your spare time? And Mr. Iguana said, jiu-jitsu. And then another one of the questions was like, what do you fear? And his answer was bugs. And I was like, wait a second, you're a fucking iguana.
Yeah, so
Isn't that what they eat?
He's sitting there.
It's like me saying I'm afraid of steaks.
He's bald, and he has paint all over his entire head. It's not face paint, it's head paint. He's sitting there with his tongue hanging out like an iguana. His hand is an iguana puppet. And he's just sitting there like this the entire time. They cut back to... Every time they cut to him, his tongue's still out.
Yeah.
He's living in the gimmick of a shoot iguana.
Yes. That's why he doesn't like bugs.
Best part of this match. I can't wait to see Mr. Iguana on Worlds Collide. Obafemi meets with Stevie and Mr. Stone. This is the contract signing with Jasper Troy. Ava didn't show up, and they never explained why. So, Jasper says this is the first time you've ever had to look up at a man you're facing, which is not true. He was in a three-way with Dijak and Josh Briggs. I'm pretty sure he was the shortest guy in that match. But he doesn't care. They sign, and that's it. That was easy.
Yeah, he goes, no matter if that snap a twig or chop down a tree, the result will be the same. It's like, that was a fucking great promo.
Sol Ruka and Zarya find Tatum Paxley, who appears to be passed out. They try to console her. Izzy Dame tries to recruit her. I don't know why.
Who cares?
Tony D'Angelo meets with Luca in the kitchen.
God, these segments are atrocious. Like, I got nothing against Luca, but he's a terrible actor. And the problem is Tony is a great actor. So if you had two terrible actors, it'd just be kind of like a funny segment. But you got like a great actor and then a terrible actor. And so the terrible actor looks like he's even worse.
So Luca got them a match against High Rise, and he explains they try to take you out, and then Wesley beat you in a match. Tony says, we're supposed to be family. You didn't get my consent first. And Luca says, we're not really a family anymore.
So Sol Ruka, Zarya, Tatum Paxley, Tony D, and Luca Crucifino, all of whom were on this show every last single fucking week, all got graphics. But Smokes, Brad Baylor, and I still have no earthly idea who the third bloke was. Not identified at all. Thank you.
So next week on NXT, it's Obafemi versus Jasper Troy and Shawn Legacy versus whoever is North American champion. The main event of this show is fucking awesome.
God damn, this was the best thing on the show. This was so good that when it was over, that's why I thought I loved this show.
I see now, and I have gone through the exact same process. This is a horrible show with a fucking awesome main event. A great main event. God damn. Mike Santana versus Trick Williams for the TNA title. Elias is in the crowd. He's challenging whoever's champion on Against All Odds tomorrow night, Friday night.
Yes.
It is a TNA title match. They should have brought in Mackenzie Mitchell to do ring announcing and a TNA ref. Crowd's crazy hot for everything. They're chanting Santana's name. They're booing Trick Williams finally.
Yes.
Trick is feeling it. And maybe feeling it a little too much. Because something very early went wrong and they covered it great. After that, everything was fine. But they're chanting, Trick, you suck, Trick, you suck. And Trick,
beat that Trick.
Beat that Trick, beat that Trick. They had such an awesome heat segment. Where Trick grounds him with submission hold. Santana's fighting to escape. The crowd's cheering. And Santana finally gets out and does like one or two moves. And Trick does something big to cut him off right back to the ground again. This is a heat segment designed to make you want to see the babyface fire up and escape and make his big-ass comeback at the end. But not be boring. It's a very fine line to walk. They did great. So finally, Trick starts throwing chops, but Santana no-sells and fires up like Sting. There's a strike exchange. Trick Williams breaks out some fucking capoeira. But then gets DVD'd onto his brain, places white hot. Santana's going through his big moves. Rolling buck 50 gets 2. 450 splash gets 2. So Trick rolls outside where he confronts Elijah, takes his guitar, smashes it against the stairs. So Elijah's hot. This distracts everybody. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ring, First Class from TNA, which is the former Top Dollar.
I could not fucking believe that Top Dollar and AJ Francis, or I'm sorry,
Casey
Navarro,
yeah,
ran in on an TNA main event on an NXT show.
Yes. And they lay out Santana, throw him across the announce desk, throw him back in. Trick hits a one knee to the back and the trick shot knee to the face, gets the win. This match fucking ruled. This is the best match on NXT or TNA TV in weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Awesome stuff. Trick Williams, 1 year ago, was miles better than he had been the year before that.
Yeah.
And he's miles better now than he was 1 year ago.
Because he's out there working all the fucking time in different places.
Yes.
Not just NXT. He's had main roster appearances. He's had TNA appearances. I mean, they're getting this guy working with different people, different agents, different matches, different scenarios.
And
he's fucking great.
He's fucking great. And they're giving him the opportunity, and he is delivering.
Yes.
He's
awesome.
He's tremendous. Huge Trick Williams fan. That was great. I mean, I'm the first hour and 45 minutes of that show was brutally bad, but I want to give it a thumbs up just because the main event was so good.
You know, before we go, I got to mention this is a very special week, and we got a lot going on. And it is the week where it really hit me that every January I do a prediction show, and I ask people to predict what they think is going to happen in 2025. and everybody comes up with good predictions, bad predictions, goofy predictions. Look at what we've seen this week, dude. Did anyone predict there would be a 4-hour Dynamite? Did anybody predict that Trick Williams would defend the TNA title on an NXT show against Mike Santana, where the winner is going to face Elijah on a TNA pay-per-view a few days later? Did anybody predict WWE would be running 2 shows in the same day? Anyone predict that WWE was going to buy AAA? Did anyone predict that Mr. Iguana and fucking Pagano were going to work a WWE show? The Young Bucks were on Raw in a video package? That's all this week. And that's like, fuck. Dude, there's like 50 other crazy things that have happened this week. What a world. What a business. So anyway, we got a lot to come. We're going to be back on Saturday night. Vinny and I are watching
Both shows.
We're going to do Worlds Collide, have a barbecue, and then Money in the Bank, and then do a show. And I'm going to try and watch Against All Odds and SmackDown tomorrow. I ain't watching TNA tonight. I just need a break after 4 hours of AEW. But a lot coming up, everybody, so check it out. And that's it. We'll talk to you again after a while.
Adios.